Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is another edition of Media Watch. My name is Bob Lovgren, and my co-host Rob Raffelli. If you want to get him up on the screen there, Mike, who is in. He's in a virtual. I don't know where. I'm not sure where he is exactly. It's the virtual business these days. You never know. There he is. And I am, of course, on that satellite, as I say, from over the Iceland right now. Beautiful, beautiful day in Iceland. At any rate. Here we talk about the media and the local stuff, not local events, but the stuff that are in the news cycle. The news cycle is every 24 hours something else happens, so that you forget about the last one, forget about the one that was yesterday, and you got to go. Then the media goes to something else. Like I say, they got to sell those pillows. Anyway, I'll leave it with you, Rob. What's the first thing you want to talk about?
Oh, I wanted to start with a little lighthearted humor.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that, I'm going to show just a short, not about the news, video of a woman chasing a bear away from her dogs.
Yeah, right.
It's short, but it's a video that's numbered 5, and it's just,
Okay.
it's a bit of light amusement. We're going to show it.
Okay, run it.
So
Hang on. He's getting it. There it is.
leave my bear alone.
Here it goes. I saw this. This is really too bad. He takes the dog, doesn't it? He actually grabs the dog.
Yeah, she gets him back.
Oh, she
Get away
does
from my
she does
dog.
get him
Yeah.
back. Okay, okay. I got
Yeah.
released.
You made him drop the dog.
A bear, yeah, okay, great.
Anyway, so look at that. We've already had a happy ending. I
Yeah,
love that.
There you go.
Okay.
I like those things.
So,
You see the videos like that all the time, especially with animals and that. It's really I enjoy that very much.
No,
when
I'm
it
so
when it
disaffected.
ends like that, so the dog doesn't get eaten. Anyway,
I'm so disaffected by the news that I could watch uplifting animal videos all day, and would probably rather see that than Anderson Cooper or anybody
Yeah.
else.
people send it. I guess that's what it is in these days in the internet. You like something and you watch it. Next thing you know, that's all you're getting. People are sending you emails,
yes.
emails about all this different things. It's out on Facebook even, all these different things that about animals. I get a lot, and I'm not complaining.
There's an amusing test you should try sometime. Just within the hearing of your phone, you should talk about buying tires and see how long it takes before you see tire ads on all of your feeds.
Oh yeah, well, like the hats that I buy. You can't buy these hats. You could. I dare you to try to find a place to buy these hats. Well, I did, and I bought a box of them. In fact, as I wear these. This is my costume, so to speak, and I was getting ads about these hats for a year. I had already bought 10 of them. What are you trying to sell me here? The least little thing you do, there's no privacy anymore in any place. They know more about you than you know about yourself, basically.
Privacy.
What you're supposed to like and all that. Speaking of which, by the way, as people can probably tell, I'm a little hard of hearing. I had some hearing aids. Unfortunately, one fell off into the mud, and that disappeared. And then the other one, I don't even know where I lost it. I was in a doctor's office, and we were taking my glasses off and so on, and it just disappeared, and never went back to even try to find it and so on. Which cost me, by the way, $4,500. I'm trying to get some cheap ones, so everybody tells me I have to go get I'll get one of those cheap ones that are being constantly advertised on TV. And by way of saying then that now I've looked at some ads that on the internet and so on. Now I'm getting ads from all the time about these things.
Yes. So I think for the first couple of things I'd like to show is we're hearing gender issues all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of things like that.
Yes. So I wanted to show a couple of pictures. One is about the Scientific American putting something out. This is the picture labeled 100. And what this is that Scientific American had an opinion piece in it. And I thought, Well, I'm glad it was an opinion piece because as science, it stinks. But I'll show you the title in a moment. Yes, this is the one that's showing now. And of course, I got it on my Clown World feed in Twitter. But this is a Scientific American opinion about sex and gender, and they're going to tell you in Scientific American, here's why human sex is not binary. You know, it's pretty amusing to me that humans have thought that sex was binary for, as long as we've existed. I mean, I would say, minimum the last 80,000 years. In the last 15 minutes, there's all this wonderful wisdom turning up that's telling you that it's a spectrum. Well, I heard a very wise guy saying, he says, people have two arms. Now, every now and again, someone is born without an arm, or someone loses an arm.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that how many arms people have is a spectrum.
Yeah.
Human beings have two arms, and then there are some times when there's a problem and they don't.
Yeah, right.
But it's not a spectrum.
Now, what does that mean, a spectrum, then? I'm not
Well,
following.
yeah, people will say of gender, they'll say, oh, yeah, well, people are assigned male or they're assigned female. But what about all these other 57 flavors that we're going to make Facebook offer when you tell people what you are?
Yeah.
Oh, look, so and so is an asexual, a demi-boy, LBGTQ, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
By the way, I found that for the purposes of not getting your stuff banned when you comment on Facebook, I don't use LGBTQ whatever anymore.
Yeah.
I use LGHDTV.
Which is what?
That's there's a company called LG that makes
I know that.
high definition televisions.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's my code word for LGBTQ whatever. I don't know what the current version is.
Yeah.
I know that Canada uses more letters,
Yeah.
including two S's on the front, and I don't know what any of it is about. And if I'm lucky, I'll never find out.
So,
But
the SS, the only thing I would relate that to is the guys that when in the camps, the concentration camps, and they had a uniform that had SS on the collar. That's the only
not too
SS
good.
I'm aware of, and that wasn't very good. That's for sure.
There was something amusing about this where someone took LGBTQ and they wrote an S on the end. They said, "There, straight." Now it's more inclusive.
Well, that whole business of those letters and that transitions and so on. I'll be honest with you. I think that being gay is genetic. I think that's you're born that way. You have your. In fact, it's actually comes from the woman. So that if a woman has a child, and her brother was gay, it's very likely that child is gay too. And in my own personal family, I've had that suspicion. They've never been told to me that way and so on. That it was in a book that it's part of the genetic code. You tend to like guys more than you like women. That's the way it is. Anyway, that's my opinion. I don't think you learn to be gay. I don't think that is you decide you're going to want to do it. And in fact, as you bring up, people that they want to educate their children before they decide if they're a boy or a girl. That was decided at birth, basically. And like you say, it's 67 varieties. It's all kinds of things. What bothers me, of course, is this is the sports business and so on. Where this one guy, I guess I can't remember his name now, but he's getting he's a swimmer, and he's getting all of these prizes. He's getting all these prizes and so on, and he's beating the girls. Yeah, he is, because he was a guy.
Yeah, let's mention him a moment. Okay, that used to be William Thomas. Will Thomas.
Yeah.
He declared as identifying as a woman. Now it's Leah Thomas competing in the female leagues. He was 461st in the world. In other words, he was quite an athlete. But gee, now he's cleaning up and taking championships, competing as a woman.
Yeah, right.
And, there were at least a few women in the locker room who said, yeah, just, I don't mean to be difficult about this, but I'm seeing this penis in the locker room, and I was kind of not expecting to.
Yeah.
I confess to being somewhat uncomfortable. But I'm looking at this
Oh, wait a
and
minute.
saying,
How did he get to be a female when he still has a penis?
he identifies.
He
Now,
identifies.
by the way,
okay.
this is the great
He
thing.
says he
Yeah,
is.
people give Matt Walsh some grief because commentator Matt Walsh, he says, he basically did an entire movie called
Yeah.
What is a Woman?
I haven't-
Where he was trying to get people to tell him what a woman was. And when you get somebody say, well, a woman is anyone who identifies as a woman, you have to say, identifies as a what? Yeah, because this is what we call a circular definition. You don't get to use the word while defining the word.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to say that a chocolate is a candy that has chocolate in it. You have to say what it is. You know, it has theobromine in it, and it is extracted from the cacao plant.
Yeah.
You know, that's the definition. But it's not the plant that identifies as chocolate, or it's not any candy that somebody in San Francisco calls chocolate. It's a thing. It's not a
Right.
it's not an identity.
I don't know the whole thing. We discussed this before the show, in fact, and it's just one of those things that just gets me. I can transgender. Yeah, the people are born certain proclivities. Is what that's the word I want to use. That they like or dislike, even in sex and so on. And that's different. That again is one of those things where I guess it becomes the part of the freedom thing. You live in a country where you can do what you want, or say what believe what you want. But it doesn't become when it affects other people's lives. Like I always tell people, it's with this life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the Declaration of Independence. Well, pursuit of happiness is different for you as it is for me and for anybody else, and so on. Your pursuit of happiness is different, and that has to do with, of course, with you. You're born and your experiences through life and so on. What do you like and what you don't like.
Okay, because we're on this subject, I'd like to see if our producer can grab the image that's labeled 110, because this is about women's sports injuries, and how one version of women's sports injuries has just skyrocketed lately, and it's well worth looking at the graph.
Yeah, I think
so.
Yeah, go ahead.
You see, all through the previous decades.
Oh yeah, there it is, the graph. Here it goes.
The testicular injury in women's sports was close to zero, and suddenly here
it is zero.
Yeah, and then now suddenly it's spiking.
Yeah, it's spiking. Right.
How the hell did that happen?
Right.
Are sports too rough now? It's kind of anyway. Yes, I'm of course being sarcastic, and I was born in New Jersey, and I got to be a teenager before I left New Jersey. I am much less sarcastic than I used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm feeling a little sarcastic right now.
Yeah.
There we go. In fact, that actually brings up something else where I'm going to ask our director to bring up one other picture, and it's labeled number 144, and it's about dating and how it is that you happen to have this identity.
Born this way, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so,
while he's looking at that, let me just say something here and so on. And nobody's explored this yet, as far as I know, and so on. What about the Olympics? I mean, they have men and women for different sports and so on. Now, are they going to have a special class?
The IOC,
the gold medal goes to a trans for swimming or whatever it is. They compete against each other.
No, this is going to be really interesting when this next one comes up, because the International Olympic Committee is accepting this is what I identify as crap. So, and I say crap advisedly. It's crap in my opinion.
Yeah,
But,
gee.
and by the way, for all that I really just don't care for this stuff at all, I intend to treat individuals with decency and respect, because everybody should get some decency and respect.
Yeah.
I just don't think that they get to force that on others. Okay, so yeah, here was the concept, and I've actually seen people go out and say, you know, this would be trans people, people who were born male but claim to be a woman now. You won't date trans people. You know, you're a trans
Put that
woman,
back
you're
up
a
again, will
bigot.
you, Mike? I want to
Yeah,
see that
that's
again.
it.
I'd
Yeah,
like to see it.
That's you're a bigot. I was born this way, and you know, for those of us who won't
Me
date
too.
a trans woman, we say, yeah, me too. I was born this way too.
But again, as I said before, maybe before the show, it's just one of those things that it keeps, you have to recognize, you have to, not say it's all right, but you have to, like the stuff going on in the Solvang right now. For those viewers out there, there's a little city called the Danish capital of America here in Santa Barbara County. And they're having a lot of controversy about the gay people having the gay parade, which they actually think they did have it at some point, but they wanted to dedicate a whole month to the gay, and they want to put things on their lampposts. They always put up in Solvang, they always put up different banners for different events that are happening and so on. By the way, if you ever come to Santa Barbara, Solvang's the place to go. It really is a Danish town. The architecture, at least, is. Anyway.
Hey, I'm not paid for this, but Mortenson's Bakery, yummy.
Yeah, there you go. You want to get some Danish.
I pay them; they don't pay me.
Yeah, that Danish food, boy, that's the place to go. Anyway, yeah, actually, it was started by a Danish a long time ago, 100 years ago, I guess it was. They were started by them as a school, actually. I think it was a college, in fact, even at some point. Anyway, but they were religious. It was a religious school. But then it got to be a lot kind of commercialized, basically. Became a real Danish town. It's very unique.
Yeah.
Anyway, you want to show? Oh, you already saw that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I got one more item related to this, and in fact I can't remember exactly how it looks, but it's labeled. It's the picture labeled 130, and this is the Tennessee shooter who went to a Christian school and shot 3 teachers and 3 children who were around 9 years old.
Yeah.
And by the way, what I find so wild about this is immediately, because the person who did this identified as trans, identified as someone born a girl who is identified as male, and what they're saying is, this is a tragedy for the trans community because it will inspire prejudice. And I thought, well, isn't it kind of like a tragedy for the families of the people who were murdered because this person wanted attention for their cause?
Yeah.
And as we say there, that person killed more people than all the January 6th Trump supporters.
Yeah.
That's because they didn't kill anybody at all.
Yeah, right. There was, yeah.
5 of them died of various medical problems.
Actually killed there was a woman that was breaking in, and the guard, the police officer, shot her through the window.
Right.
And I
right.
still don't understand why her background indicated that she was not that kind of person at all. As far as I didn't get into it too deep, but it didn't seem to me that she in fact was a out and out protester and so on, that she just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time at that point. Anyway, getting back to that picture there, this was as people don't remember, it was a guy that went into what did he go into, a school? I've forgotten, where was he?
Yes, it was, by the way, it was a Christian parochial school.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
In Tennessee, I believe it's in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And this was a woman, but is now is now dead, but was identifying as a man. And in fact, when someone put the name on the news, they were trans people because the name was a female name. This is what the trans community will say. Oh, they called him by his dead name. That's because supposedly when you've identified as the other sex and you pick another name, then they call your old name your dead name. anyway, they thought that even in death, the shooter was being disrespected.
Yeah.
I thought, well, it just murdered 6 people. I'm not sure how much respect I want to throw that person's way.
Well,
but anyway,
they made it sound like I don't know. I'm not really interested in it. They didn't really make the cure about it and so on, because they're starting to say he was justified, or he or she he or she was justified in doing this because of the outrage that they had experienced and so on. No, he's not justified in shooting children. I don't care what you say. He's dead, right? He got killed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's dead and so on. Good riddance. I don't care what he thought, what he thinks, or what they think he was, and so on. He killed some people, and justice came. Like I always say, it was the arrest and charge. He was indicted. He was tried in a court, and the verdict was guilty, and he was executed. It took all of about 5 minutes. That's what it should. That's what it should do. Take him out and shoot him. I like to say I
wonder if we have to call him the alleged shooter.
Is that right? Yeah, alleged shooter.
Yes, we don't have a verdict yet, so we have to call him the alleged shooter, the suspect.
Yeah.
I always love the suspect. And you say, no, that's him. He's shooting at you now. It's not a suspect.
Okay, let's move on to something else.
Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, I think I'd like to touch on some more stuff about news. So
yeah.
I'd love to go to a very short video we have that's labeled number 10. It's about the threats to our democracy and how basically everybody reads off the same teleprompter. You think when you're watching your local news, oh, these are the sentiments and thoughts of
this is very
black people. And it turns out everybody's got the same script.
Yeah, you see what you're about to see. All of a sudden, especially in the CNNs and the MSNBCs of the world, and even in the papers and so on, you see him use the same phrase, exactly the same phrase. They must go out in some kind of secret internet thing that they have. They have a little club where they find out this is what you say today. Anyway, show that video.
Yeah. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias, and agenda to control exactly what people think. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Now that's real. That's what this. You saw that people are all saying that. I don't know, but probably in the same day and so on. That's a little strange, isn't it?
It's
strange in the sense that how can that possibly be that they all will use the same phrase? They've got somehow or other they've been told this is the phrase you use.
Everybody got the memo.
Got the memo. Yeah, there you go. That's what I wanted to say.
And because they all got the memo, the way I've heard this described is, your opinion is being assigned to you. You're being told that this is what you think.
Yeah.
And when you see the same thing everywhere, you really need to use your brain and bristle a little bit and stand up to it and say, is this really what I think, or is this just what I just heard 13 times?
I'm supposed to think. Yeah.
Yeah. It's bizarre.
They're told how to handle. Like I say, the news media these days. You're told. I would have to think, and that happens to the conservative and the liberal press and so on. But it's they're told this is how we're going to handle this. This is what you're going to say. And I think that's why Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon, he just disappeared because he couldn't get the ratings anymore. I always talked about Don, just as an aside, I always say Don Lemon couldn't have happened, Donald Trump couldn't have happened better for his life and Don Lemon's life. He got a mansion in Manhattan. He's out on that island in what do you call it, in Long Island, all the rich people live and so on. And he has a condo down in Florida and a boat, by the way. I guess he's now living on his boat. And that's because he just ragged on Donald Trump all the time. That was his. You could tune on Don Lemon or Lemon or whatever how you can pronounce his name. You can
tease him.
You can do him all he wants, and within 10 seconds, he was bad mouthing. It was into what Donald Trump when he was in president, and they took him off to Twitter, or whatever it was, Instagram. See, he couldn't communicate with like he was doing and so on. That was the death sentence for Don Lemon.
Yeah. Actually, you made me think of something there.
As far as his career was concerned, at least.
Trump did so many things. I mean, he was president for 4 years. You would have the impression that he didn't do anything right, ever.
Oh, yeah, right.
And, look, Obama, God rest his soul. No, I know his soul's gone. He's still there.
Yeah.
Look, Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize for not being George W. Bush.
Yeah, he got
even though he went on.
Just in a few months.
Yeah, boom. He got elected. He wasn't George W. Bush. He got the Nobel Peace Prize. I think even he was embarrassed.
But, didn't it have something to do with a speech he made in Cairo and so on? He was going to bring everybody together, and there was all that and that. That was his peace feeling.
Could
so
be.
on. That didn't work out so well, I don't think, did it?
Now, by contrast, the Trump administration labored behind the scenes, brought in the historic Abraham Accords, which got several Muslim countries to
Right.
make peace with and acknowledge Israel and establish more normal relationship.
Yeah.
And in fact, Trump was nominated for the Peace Prize. Nothing. I mean, crickets.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't.
I didn't even know that even.
I'm not telling people you got to love Trump, but there's lots of reasons not to. But it's an accomplishment, and it's an accomplishment. We've been waiting since 1967 or before, right? Probably really more like since 1947,
right,
for some kind of regularization like that. And Trump's team did it, and nothing. I don't hear anything.
Yeah.
I think that the Biden people have actually had good sense, and I'll give them some credit for it, to try to move forward and add some stuff to the Abraham Accords, and all to the good.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the treatment is so radically different that look, I disagree with lots of people. I got to give them credit for the good stuff, just so people will do more good stuff.
Yeah.
You got to acknowledge when people do something right.
There you go. That's what I was just saying. Is that they're told. They're in the newspaper room, or like as I say, that when you decide what they're going to show, this is the way this is how you're going to approach this and so on. This is what you're going to do. If you want to keep this job, this is what you're going to say, and that's exactly what they do, as we just saw. Yeah, I've seen that so many times, where you hear the same phrase over and over again. You go to CNN and MSNBC. Yes, I do watch them once in a while just to see what they're saying, at least. You get the word. How come that guy's saying the same thing the other guy said? And 2 minutes, a couple seconds later, here he's got doing the same story and using the same language. Somebody's been telling him what to say.
I want to know, why is it that we're supposedly worshiping democracy? Now, democracy has something to be said for it, something to be said against it.
Yeah.
But the only thing that it's good for, the only thing that I want out of democracy or any other system, is for it to safeguard our rights. And if it doesn't do that, then what good is it? I mean, like, if I lived under a dictator and my rights were secure, then I might like that better than I like some of the democracy. Democracy is just a way of saying, I tell you what, since there's more of us, we could probably beat you up. So just do what we say and don't make us come over there and beat you up.
Right.
I think, that's not much of a, we've done reasonably well with it, but it's not terrific. It's a little on the immature side. You would like people to be hewing closer to not just what the biggest bunch of people want, but what the best thing to do might be. And for that, you really need more discussion and maturity, and not just, well, there's more of us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, protecting the rights. It's sort of strange you should say that. You know, I didn't realize, I read the I have every issue of American Heritage magazine, the book that goes back into the 50s. I bought it and gave it to my dad for Christmas one time, and when he passed away, I took them all. I got like 200 issues of and they have a lot of things. They have a diary of a guy who was in the first Senate. That was right, you know, Washington now, that was the president and so on, and the Senate. And it talks about talk about democracy being about rights. The Bill of Rights was not done when they actually formed the government. That's after the fact, after they had formed the government and they were in office in Washington. Now, actually, they weren't in Washington, they were in Philadelphia. They hadn't set, you know, what the Bill of Rights had not been approved yet. As a matter of fact, they decided that after the fact. I didn't realize that, and it was a big controversy. I think they had many more, not many more, 15 Bill of Rights, but they only approved of the 10, the original 10 rights. But as you say, that's what the democracy is, and it goes right back to the pursuit of happiness, as I say. It's I have a right to do certain things because I want to do them, as long as there's, you know, obviously you can't. There's no right to killing anybody, murder and so on. But there's a lot of other things that, well, you want to be gay. You know, that's your right to do it if you want to identify as gay. I always said about was that woman that she was a big TV show she had about houses here in Montecito. And she came out. Yeah, what was her name?
Are we talking about Ellen DeGeneres?
Yeah. Her show was going into the toilet, and she announced that she was gay. And the next show she had a huge audience, and she got back on TV. That played pretty well for her, at least, anyway. Anyway,
yeah, as oppression goes, that's not too rough.
I know a guy named Joe Mortz. He was out in Isla Vista. And he said he was gay, and he collected on it. He got a lot of hopes that somebody out there knows him, because he was on the board of the park district out there in Isla Vista and so on. He never saw a government giveaway that he didn't get. he was into it, and I guess by announcing that he was gay, it gave him some income basically. Anyway, I get off the subject on the thing, but the motto, as I say, it's a matter of rights. It's a matter of that's what you want. You want your democracy to not tell you what to do. you want to do things. That's your right to do it. There's freedom of speech, and then there's freedom to shut up, and or freedom to listen to other people. Basically, you don't have to listen to people.
Yeah.
Go along with it. Anyway,
we all know Greg Gutfeld, or at least I hope we do. He's been pretty popular on Fox, and he's got a show called The Five. Anyway, Greg Gutfeld.
Yeah. Okay.
I think his show, his late night show, is just called Gutfeld.
Yeah, I watch it occasionally. It's 8 to 9 o'clock on our time here in Santa Barbara.
Right.
It's California.
Well, the thing is, Greg has pushed the other big late night shows out of the top spot. He has the top spot as far as, by which I mean he draws the biggest audience.
Yeah.
And it was just back around the time of the Super Bowl that had occurred, so they wanted to do an ad. They did an ad on the Super Bowl, and it's a real shorty. It's like 15 seconds long, but I'd love to bring that one up.
Sure.
We've got it labeled as video number 25, and the guy has a sense of humor about himself, as you will see from his ad. He even acknowledges that these Super Bowl ads are expensive, which is why it's cut short.
Anyway, yeah, he's good to watch, and this is good. This is a good. What we're going to see right now is I have never seen it.
Gutfeld, new king of late night commercial, ready to roll.
Isn't this great?
Is this cultural appropriation?
Action.
Hello, America.
That's a wrap.
What?
Sorry, these ads are pricey.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah,
He's fun to watch for a while. The black guy that wears that the medallion. I guess he was a wrestler
Yeah.
at some point in time. He is really good. He really is funny.
Well, Tyrus is terrific. I really enjoy him. And
One
I don't
time-
really,
Yeah. One time I was
I don't watch any WWE, but apparently he's been in it.
One time I was watching, and he got as he played it. The guy I'm talking about, I can't, what was I don't remember his name. The guy that the black guy. I don't remember.
That's
his name.
Tyrus.
Yeah. He got to laughing so hard. He might have just played. He fell over on the floor. He was laying out on the floor. So I thought that was pretty darn good. I guess he's a successful wrestler, but I think he's got a personality too now.
Actually, I'm going to just jump in here with something that you reminded me of, and it's about being acknowledged as a comedian. There were some terrific musical comedians, Michael Flanders and Donald Swan. They were very big in the 1950s, and they did an album that was recorded live in one of their live performances, and you hear Michael Flanders saying, "By the way," this is to his audience there, he says, "By the way, we're being recorded tonight. So if any of you felt like being carried out helpless with mirth, this is the night for it."
Right.
He also mentioned, he says, this is in
Laugh
stereo.
Laugh or else. Get out.
He also mentioned this is in stereo, so wherever you're sitting now, that's where you'll be on the record.
Yeah. Anyway, Gutfeld is an interesting guy. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. It gets the stuff it's I don't know. I can't do the whole thing. It's the same. I'll just have to tell you right now. It's the same with Tucker Carlson. I didn't really get it with him. Obviously, I was in a minority. He's got very popular guy. In fact, I want you to talk about. You said he's been offered some a better deal. By the way,
yeah.
Fox didn't fire him. He still works for Fox. He just doesn't have the show. He's got 2 years left in his contract, and it's $20 million a year. And somebody's come along and offered him a lot more money, right?
Yeah. Here's the way this works. First of all, I think Tucker had the highest rated show on Fox, and it was very well received. And by the way, as soon as his show went off, his time slot had less than half as many viewers as it did beforehand.
Yeah. Well, they're changing people that have it. This will be the third week now. The woman, I guess, she's now doing the show. Before that, and there was a guy that did it, a black guy, young guy, was pretty good as far as reporting, but he's not quite the Tucker Carlson but he used him a lot to go out and interview people and stuff like that. And he was pretty good at it. He still is, for that matter, as far as I know. Anyway, we had the week before. Now there's some woman that used to be that worked for the Trump administration.
Well, the thing to remember about Tucker is that he actually will say things that don't match what everybody else is saying.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention the concept of conspiracy theory, and that he would talk about some things which people would refer to as conspiracy theories. But I look at it this way. This is my example I made up myself. I say, I go out to the street where I parked my car last night, and the windows have been smashed and the sides have been keyed. I infer, without ever having seen anyone, I infer that there were vandals there. Am I a conspiracy theorist?
Yeah, right.
Or,
yeah, right. Yeah. Now, what is this conspiracy? Is this a January 6th conspiracy? Or is that what you're talking about, or what?
I'm talking,
conspiracy in general.
General.
Yeah.
Yeah, and lots of times when you see something go the wrong way again and again and again and again, you have to say to yourself, if this was random, about half the time it would favor me.
Yeah.
if it's just a coincidence, and it's the same coincidence every time for years, then you start saying, it doesn't feel as coincidental as it used to.
Yeah.
So I can still be wrong about every suspicion I've ever had, but it's not unreasonable to entertain them and check out to see if there's what kind of evidence there is around. After all, what do? We form theories based on observed facts, and then we look to see if there's any evidence for or against them, so that we refine our idea of what the world is like.
Yeah,
I think that's
'cause
even how science works.
everything boils down to conspiracy these days. That people they're doing something together basically and keeping it in a low key. And that, of course, with social media and stuff like that, you can kind of get away with that sort of thing. But let's face it, there's a lot of people that act. Their conspiracy is them. That's all there is. They're dealing with themselves and so on. Especially these guys that go out and kill people. What's the latest one tonight? It was what was one in Atlanta, I guess, yesterday or something like that. And there was another one in Oklahoma, and oh my God, it's amazing. As I've always said about that, by the way, and I think on this show, in fact, even I think what nobody really talks about, in fact, is these killings that go on all the time. The guns and what was his motive? Or her motive to do this, and that they're trying to figure that out. Motive was, they're nuts, they're crazy. Put them out of their misery, right? Get rid of them. And in fact, a lot of times they do commit suicide before they get captured and so on. But the media plays it up. They got these guys that did you know the guy he killed a bunch of students in Norway on an island, and he
Yeah, I remember him sort of.
there was a whole bunch of them. He got a book
Yeah.
deal. He got a movie deal. He was interviewed and got paid for it and so on. And he'll probably get released, in fact, even in Norway at some point in time. And of course, you always hear about these guys that do it, and they go into their room and so on. And all of a sudden, you see on the wall of other things like that, the killings that have happened and so on. This is I want to be famous too. And that's exactly what they do. They want to go out on a if they kill themselves in the process, they want to go out on they made history basically, or something like that. Now you know who I am now, don't you? Or know who I was at least, and so on. And the media just plays it up. Yes, at some point, one of these cops that's going to get on after that happens, and so on, is not going to name the guy that they have in custody. You're going to find out. You'll probably find it out anyway, but I'm not going to give it to you. I don't think he deserves publicity.
Yeah, I'd
That's
say,
my point.
2023 jerk number 1, 2023 jerk number 2.
Right.
And that should be how we remember them.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I wanted to, since we're getting toward the end of our show, and I'd like to get a bit of the administration into it.
Okay.
So
Move on.
what I'm thinking about is I'm thinking about what John Kennedy had to say in video number 30 about the ways in which Joe Biden is breaking new ground. It's a brief one, but I thought it was poignant, and so if we
it's funny at least.
Yeah, if we can show video 30.
This is a
that would be,
senator from Louisiana.
Yes, that's who he is.
Yeah. His name is John Kennedy, as it turns out.
Yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead. Because the
He's
other
fun.
Kennedy is not with us anymore.
President Biden has another year and a half to discover new and innovative ways to suck. And it is a dangerous world out there.
Yeah, just when you thought it couldn't suck worse, it does.
That's politics. That's a good way of saying that. But these days, that's what they can do. And it's very partisan, put it that way. Very partisan these days. I don't know if it's more partisan than it was. Well, like I said, I read about the diary of a guy that was in the very first Senate. There was partisanship right off the bat. Well, I'm telling you that people disagree. This particular guy's name was McWay. I think it's something like McRae. And he was a senator from the state of Pennsylvania. In those days, the legislature would appoint somebody as
That's
senator.
correct.
And they would, that didn't change, by the way, till the 1930s. In fact, Stork, what was the Stork, the guy, the News Press? He was a senator from the state of California. He was appointed by the legislature to be the senator from California.
That was either the 16th or the 17th Amendment. One of those was
Right.
direct election of senators.
Of senators, right. Anyway, there's been partisanship all the time. The people calling each other names and so on. That's why they're trying to make it out so bad today, as it's never been that way. It's been during the Civil War. I believe some senator, was it, from South Carolina, it might have been Calhoun, in fact, Calhoun went into the House of Representatives and beat the crap out of one of the representatives in the House of Representatives, and he was maimed for life.
Yes, yes,
and
he
he got away with it. That's the ultimate nonpartisanship. And the fact that
Okay.
maybe representing these days now, what was it in Montana? A woman basically just you started talking and so on, that you're going to have blood on your hands and so on, and you couldn't shut her up. It wasn't just what she said. She wouldn't get out of the way. And then the one in Texas, I guess it was. It was in Georgia. I think there's a guy and a woman. They kicked them out because they wouldn't relent. They wouldn't play by the rules. That you get to say, express your opinion, and then another person gets up and do the same thing. No, they had to take over the whole place, and
Right.
that kind of stuff. That partisanship, it gets to the point where you got to play by the rules.
Yeah, they didn't play well with others. So there's somebody else here in the mix, and that's the person who might take over in case Joe Biden is unable to continue.
Yeah,
and that would be
here she
Kamala
is.
Harris.
Yeah.
And I'd like to show her video. It's labeled number 40, as she uses the phrase "this moment in time." And I gotta say that to me she sounded like a low IQ pageant contestant. Except I think those would probably do
Yeah.
a better job.
Anyway,
And if we can, I think
here it is. Here it is.
So, I think it's very important, as you have heard from so many incredible leaders, for us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present, and to be able to contextualize it, to understand where we exist in the history
Contextualize it.
and in the moment as it relates not only to the past but the future.
Yeah, I'd love to contextualize that if I could, but I can't.
What is he even talking about? Conceptualize what?
Contextualize. She means put this moment of time in a context. Well, I'm sure it's whatever context
Yeah.
she decides it ought to have. But anyway, if Joe Biden has any problems, and let's say one of these times that he falls upstairs, that he's injured and can't continue for a bit, then that's your president. So just savor the moment.
Anyway, yeah, I'm glad this is the video is showing, because it does. Here right now, it's so much, well, not partisanship, but the race for 2024. Now, Donald Trump, of course, has announced he is going to run for president, and Joe Biden, in fact, he said he's going to run for re-election to the Senate. So that's a done deal. When I thought the scenario, Biden had not been connected. He had not announced that he was going to run again. Well, now that's a fact, that he's going to be running for a second term. Now the next question is it Kamala Harris, or how you pronounce her name, is she going to still be the vice president? Is he going to throw her out and get somebody else, and so on? That's a question, because of this hands that she uses and so on, and this conceptual, you don't know what she's talking about a lot of times and so on. And I'm not bad about the woman. I think she was elected senator from the state of California. As a Democrat, that was pretty much a done deal. All she had to do was keep breathing, unlike Dianne Feinstein, what may not be the case. Anyway, she's been out of Washington D.C. for many months now. That's another story. But anyway. If he did drop her to get somebody else as vice president, which FDR did in 1944, excuse me, and that's how Harry Truman got to be president. A guy named Wallace, he was the vice president elected in 1940, and then in 1944 they wanted to get rid of him, and they did. They got Truman. So it can happen. And in fact, FDR, that was his third vice president. As a matter of Truman was his third vice president. Of course, he served for three terms and a little piece of the fourth one. He had just been elected in 44. At any rate, it does happen that they drop one. But this one I think that Kamala Harris, if she was thrown to the wolves, You can't do it. Maybe she should run for the Senate again, because Dianne Feinstein is retiring, and she was the senator from the state of California. At any rate, this is something that it has to be worked through, because if they don't, I tell you right now, they have lost that small proportion, perhaps, of black women who are voters. They're going to have some trouble with that. A lot of trouble with that, as far as voting for Biden.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Hey, you.
And then a lot of other women too, by the way, and so on. That's going to be pretty tough.
Now you're reminding me of you and Jim Worthen like to talk about what we call psychedelic politics, things that probably won't happen and are really weird, but could happen, and the rules permit.
Yeah.
What if instead of Kamala Harris, we could have another black female? I would say Stacey Abrams.
Okay.
I don't care for it all, but
Well, maybe
I
that's
bet
true.
that I bet the Democrat rank and file would probably love her. So
Well, I hadn't
there's
thought
a
about that. You're
possibility
right.
she could
You're
be the
right. Yeah,
president.
that could happen. You're right. Just have another black woman in that. And of course,
Absolutely.
what you're actually, just as they did with Truman in 1944, FDR, you could look at him and say that this man's not well. And
He
in
could
fact,
make it.
he did die within a month or 2 months, something like that, after being inaugurated. Okay, it would have been in January. So he didn't die, I think, till April, but mid-April, something like that. Maybe it was, I think something like that. Anyway, they were picking. If you read about it, you'll know this. I do a lot of reading about presidents, and but they thought they could handle Harry Truman. Nobody knew who he was even. I don't think
Right.
the FDR really knew who he was while he was still alive, and this is his vice president at that time. That's going to be a real interesting question.
Now, I've got one other thing with Biden, and I want you to see Biden when he was,
Yeah,
I would say, much more solid, much more confident. This is from he was talking about withdrawal from Afghanistan, but he was talking about this in 2007 while George W. Bush was still president, and he wasn't even, Obama hadn't run, so he hadn't become vice president yet. But
Yeah.
you can see the intelligence and firmness with which Biden describes this stuff. So this is the video that I labeled 70, and I think it's well worth considering his words. So let's see if we can pull up the
70.
70, the Biden on Afghanistan.
You got it, Mike? Hang on. There he goes.
It's a big difference to tell the American people the truth about what our options are in ending this war. If tomorrow the order goes out from I'm President of the United States, I issue an order, end the war today, begin to withdraw all American troops. It will take a year to get the American troops out. Do you hear me now? That's the truth. It will take a year to get them physically out. Now, if you leave all the equipment behind, you might be able to do it in 7 months.
Yeah.
And you leave those billions of dollars of weapons behind, I promise they're going to be used against your grandchild and mine someday. And you leave those billions of dollars of weapons behind, I promise they're going to be used against your grandchild and mine someday.
And
Yeah.
when was that
Yeah,
exactly?
just leave $85 billion in weapons behind,
Right.
and they get used on you.
And it's on
Yeah.
you, yeah. That's what I was going to say. When did he say that, the video? You have any idea what year that was? He was
I
running for
do.
president.
2007.
Yeah, 2007, right, yeah. He had his chance to get out of Afghanistan, and he blew it. Big time.
Well, I don't see with the part where did he have his Joint Chiefs draw up a one-year plan where it was going to be done smoothly and well? Or it seemed like they just said, that's it, somebody turn out the light.
Yeah.
Literally, they were abandoned Bagram Air Force Base, which could have been used to cover the entire withdrawal. But
Yeah.
no,
He
crazy,
did-
crazy stuff.
did it all at once.
So I'm looking at, he literally knew better. At least he knew better 16 years before.
Right,
Now, I
yeah.
don't know if he still knows better because I have no idea what his mental state really is.
Yeah, right.
I don't diagnose from a distance.
Yeah. He wasn't in
Anyway,
charge.
you can
Obviously,
see
he
why
wasn't.
that kind of took me aback.
Obviously, he blew it. I mean, his excuse, I guess, he wasn't in charge of it, and so on. Of course, they blamed it on Trump, of course, because Trump had already announced that they were going to get out, and so on. But not like that happened, and so on.
Be that as it may,
Yeah.
I bet if Trump were in office, it would have been done better. The end.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's what he was trying to do, trying to get out of Afghanistan. He was in the process of doing that. In fact, they already had a date. They had a set date for it. I guess it had to do, of course, with the Taliban taking over the rest of the country.
Sure, but the thing is, you can have a set date, and you can say, you know, I don't like that date. Things haven't gone our way.
Yeah.
I'm changing the date. You know, you're the freaking president of the United States, and you have the Joint Chiefs with you. You hope.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that you could do something with it.
Yeah. The whole Afghanistan thing, in fact, now we're out of that. Basically, we're out of Afghanistan, thank God. And it was a debacle. That was a war that was 20 years we were there, and
Stupid stuff.
yeah, spent $1 trillion or something like that, probably something like it was big money in fact. And I always remember at CIA they said there was a guy that had the turban. He was the president there for a while. He's now living in Switzerland, by the way, in a mansion on the lake, Lake Geneva in Switzerland. Anyway, one time he was paying off leaders, these people that were different tribes, and he was paying them off to keep them in line and so on. And he asked the CIA to supply him with some cash to pay off these guys, and the CIA said, "Okay, sure." He says, "But there's one problem. We have to wait until the ink dries." I kind of made that up, I think it is, but it was something like that, as you well know, that happened. Anyway, we're close to the end of the time here, so anything else, closing words you want to say there, Rob?
Well, closing words. Well,
we live in interesting times. I guess that's what you have to say, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I must seem like I have a dark view of the world, and in a great sense, I don't. I believe that people are capable of so much good that I'm often depressed by the good that isn't done, by the good decisions that aren't taken, by so many things. You run up to them and you say, "Oh, look, it's a crisis." And I'm thinking, a problem that you understood for 35 years is not a crisis just because you ran up and smacked into it.
Yeah.
You could have been preparing the whole time.
Anyway, okay, we're about done, so thanks for watching, and hopefully you've learned something. But whether you're not or not, we're going to be back on in 2 weeks, and I'll have a hearing aid by that time. Thank you very much. I promise.
Baby.
I promise.